Hey guys, welcome to the Plano Community Difference. We've got a great show for you today. A lot going on. We're going to get to visit again with Councilman Shelby Williams of Plano, just catching up what's going on in Plano. Also, if you're like me, you've got constant back problems, a lot of issues going on. Man, chiropractic care is a really big deal. There's a huge new facility opening up in the Collin County area, but they're doing something really special. We're going to tell you about that. All that's next on the show today. Please stick around with the Community Difference starting now.
Tune in to watch our communities grow. See how our citizens, local governments, churches, small businesses, schools, and our local sports teams are coming together and partnering to make the difference. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Community Difference, Plano, Texas, with your host, Nathan Smith, and powered by the Difference live stream radio and podcast. So if you love your community and you love supporting the folks and businesses that make your community so special, then we invite you to like, follow, and subscribe to our pages, and then tune into each show to experience the community difference.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Community Difference. I am your host, Nathan Smith. I am excited to be here. It is another very hot day. I feel like every week I'm coming back with just more bad news of weather. Fortunately, I'm not in charge of the weather, so I'm just reporting it. But a lot of good things going on, a lot of exciting things happening in the community. A couple things that I want to share with you. So last week we had some great guests. We had Shelly Rogers with Sparkle All Over Bakery, one of our guests through Katie Owen, the insurance gal, and she just creates these freaking amazing cookies. And this is not like the cookies you buy at Walmart. These are like handcrafted, which is a weird term to use for cookies. Handcrafted, like melt in your mouth, quite amazing. I want to, while I'm talking, to see if I can just show this. So I literally promised that I would show this video. Hold on a second. So they open it up, they send it out, and they've got like all these little sparkle things in there, which, you know, I'm not a huge sparkle person, but when you want to make somebody feel special, that is one way to do it. So she's got this beautiful box. You get 12 at a time. And I said, I want to try the Nutella cookies. So I made this video, I posted on Facebook, but it may get to the point here in a minute where you actually open it up. Let's see. Here we go. Here's the good part. Hold on, wait for it. There it is. Okay. So check that out. Man, Nutella cookie. And these are like thick, right? These are not like you're tiny. Like you eat one cookie and you eat it slowly. You're like, man, I'm full. So they lasted our whole family of three, about to be four. And for a couple days, I got the strawberries and cream. Now, I'm not here to report on cookies that I eat. I'm here because if you want to do something for somebody that just show, you know, how grateful you are, how much you appreciate them, little things like that. And they're very affordable, but they are absolutely done at a high quality level, a high class level. So thank you to Shelly Rogers with Sparkle Over Bakery. What a great just passion to the story behind that. You know, started cooking obviously with their kids at a younger age, and they developed that into a business. And now, you know, we actually were able to make a connection with our new show hosts. They're going to be launching the Rockwall show here in just over a month, I guess. And now they're going to be doing some partnerships together. So it's funny how, you know, when you make connections, when you build relationships, the things that you're able to do, the common interests that you're able to find, and all of a sudden you're doing some business together. So really, really exciting. Check out that show if you have not got a chance to watch it. I promise you, if you order some cookies, you will be you will not be disappointed. So we got a lot going on today, a lot of great guests. We're going to jump right in here. You know, one of the things that during the Texas heat, one of the things that probably has happened to you, it happened to us, is your AC goes out. And that's not a good thing, especially when it's been averaging 102, 103. I think got up to 110 not too long ago. Got a good friend, Roy Cook, with No Sweat Experts. Again, another connection through Master Networks. Guys, if you're not networking, right, if you're not in a business networking environment, you are missing out. One, because you are you're setting yourself up for that point where maybe you're very busy right now, but eventually you're not going to be busy. Most businesses have kind of all an up and down. So in those down times of the year or whatever, where are the referrals coming from? Where are the relationships being built? You can learn how to do that, learn to have an infinite pipeline, learn to just better yourself as a person, as a business owner, as a family man, a man or woman, whatever the case may be. Master Networks is a really good platform for that. And so we'll talk more about that in a moment. But I'm going to bring on Roy to the show. Roy, thank you so much for jumping on with us. I see you're on the move, which is not surprising. You probably just barely got to stop to breathe today. How's your day going?
It's been busy. Just in between calls right now. I pulled over in a parking lot to jump on here.
Well, I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Now you're pretty much all over the Metroplex, from what I understand. But a lot in Plano, a lot in Collin County. I know you're part of I think 5 different networking chapters, which is pretty amazing. One of the things, because this is a Plano-based show, but obviously we talk about things happening in the larger county, Collin County, and things that really affect the Plano residents specifically. But just for a moment, talk about you. Like, where'd you grow up? What do you like about this region? How did you end up in North Texas? Just kind of let our listeners know a little bit about your background.
I grew up about an hour from here in a little town called Slidell.
Okay.
I was in the biggest class in the high school. There were 16 of us.
Yes.
Went to A&M and then moved back here to be closer to home. I got an accounting and finance degree, so got a job in at one of the accounting firms downtown, and worked there for almost 20 years in the consulting role.
Okay.
So
how did you pivot into your own business, and why HVAC?
So I left consulting and took on some roles in various controller and CFO type positions. One of those jobs was at an air conditioning school, and just meeting the people there, combined with some of the consulting projects I had worked on in the past, I saw how poorly air conditioning companies were run and thought I could do better.
Well, and that's, it's so funny. That's how pretty much every business in human history has started, or some iteration of an already existing business, is by somebody saying, I could do this better. I can make a tweak here. Or what if we did this? And that's, how things have evolved for the last pretty much ever. So that's really good. We're going to talk specifically about what some of those things are, excuse me, that you can do differently. We talked about that a little bit after the meeting the other day. The question I always ask people, and this is unrelated to HVAC, but just for our wider audience of Plano, Collin County folks, is where do you, if you get a break, which it doesn't sound like you do very often, especially in the summer, where's your favorite watering hole? What's your favorite restaurant, favorite place to go in the Plano, Collin County area that you just like to frequent?
I got 2 of them, Babes and La Hacienda Ranch.
Okay, Babes is staple. It's like there's a bunch of those around DFW. I feel like there's at least 3 or 4. Somebody mentioned, do you remember that Hacienda Ranch? Somebody mentioned that a couple months ago. Where I've never been there. Where is it exactly?
The one we go to is in Frisco, just kind of close to the Stonebriar Mall area.
Okay, so just north of West Plano area. Okay, and it's obviously it's Mexican food. I'm going out on a limb there, but what makes it good?
You don't even need teeth to chew their beef fajitas. They are the tenderest and best you can find anywhere.
Oh my gosh, that sounds freaking amazing. So, well, that's awesome. I would just like to give a shout out or plug to local businesses, especially restaurants, because we all eat and we all want to eat good food. So that's really awesome. So you got into HVAC. You said, I can do this better. When you say better, what were some of the things that you saw, kind of trends in the industry that were really needed an overhaul, that you believe, hey, I can make a difference here?
I mean, it's really 2 things. One of which is it's a dirty business. I could come to your house and tell you anything in the world and try to sell you $10,000 worth of air conditioning, and most likely, believe me, you wouldn't have any reason to not trust me. And I can't tell you how many times we followed another company in when someone wanted a second bid, and we do a $200 repair, and it's good for another 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years. But the company before came in and said, "Oh no, it's bad. You got to replace the whole thing. There's nothing we can do about it." And yeah, the other one is there's a lot of people that they know how to work on air conditioners, they know how to fix air conditioners, but they don't know how to treat customers. They don't know how to grow a business. They don't know how to acquire employees. So they stay just a one-man show year after year after year, and never grow the business and never kind of get that snowball effect.
I know somebody like that, unfortunately. So, and the funny thing, and obviously we're not here to badmouth other companies, but I was talking to you before on Friday, and just some of the major companies that advertise on the radio around here, they advertise under the guise of being the honest type of person, and you've said you've actually had some experience to the contrary.
Yeah, I mean, and those bigger companies, a lot of times they pay their techs commission only. So the company gets the hook with their $29 tune-up, but if the tech comes out and there's nothing wrong, if everything's good, he doesn't make any money on that call, and that's an unfortunate incentive for them to sell you things you don't need.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, we had one commercial customer that had they got a quote for $78,000 because all their heaters had gone out, and we went up and looked, and the company before us had just turned the gas off to everything on the roof.
Oh my gosh. That is sorry. That is really sorry. So obviously that's something that sets you guys apart, in terms of doing the right thing, not overcharging, not creating problems. I think you were sharing with me a story of a company that actually set something in motion that kind of created a problem, and then they had to come back out and fix it. And you were telling me one of the things that you kind of pride yourself on is like you're going to come back out. Like if you think something's gone wrong or you fix something, you'll come back out and check that for free, because you almost don't want to be accused of setting something up that's going to be a chain reaction down the road.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in situations where, something has happened, like we connect our gauges and the system doesn't seal back up. The Schrader valve is bad and it starts leaking because we connected our gauges. It started leaking because it was old, but we were there, we did it. I'll come back and I'll take care of that because I feel like it's the right thing to do, and I don't want anybody to think that we came out and did something to cause anything to happen so that we can come back out again and charge them more money. I try to keep a clean reputation.
I guess one of the things we were talking about earlier is in the industry, you've got the people that are the big companies that are kind of taking advantage of people. And then you've got the single man shows that are, maybe good people, maybe trying to make an honest living, but they're just so overstrapped because they don't know how to run a business. They don't know, they don't really see the value of customer service. Not that they're always rude necessarily, but they're just on to the next, trying to survive. What is it that you see? I mean, you obviously have a structure. I know you have tons of people, or like tons of different techs and people that are working with you. What is the precedent that you put on customer service, and how have you seen that be of benefit to you as a business owner? Like, it always comes full circle, but just talk about when you take the time to go that extra mile or do that extra this, that, the other, or you come out and fix something for free because it's the right thing to do. How does that actually benefit you as a business owner down the road?
My goal with every customer is to earn a customer for life. Because, I could do something today and make $500, or I can make them happy today. And, every time they have to buy an air conditioner over the next 30 years, they're going to come to me. And that's the goal, is the long-term plan. I like to tell people I don't run an air conditioning business. I run a hospitality business. I want my techs to talk to them. I want my techs to get to know them. I want them to have a personal relationship with the people that come out to their house, and build that trust. And I want my techs to do the same thing. I want my techs to explain what's going on, show them pictures, and say, here's why we need to do what we need to do. not just go out and look at it and say it's broke. It's going to be $500 to fix it.
Sure. Well, a couple more questions. We're going to take a quick commercial break here, and then if you can stick around for about five or six more minutes, Roy, we'll be right back after this commercial break.
All right.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses. WeatherTech General Contracting. We make your home renovation dreams a reality.
Metroplex Delivery is DFW's premier restaurant delivery service. Metroplex Delivery brings premium restaurant food right to your door. Metroplex Delivery offers uncompromising white glove treatment. Launching in McKinney and Allen. Give Metroplex Delivery a call at 469-505-0844 or online at www.metroplex.delivery.com. And by
Alan Lester, branch manager and team lead for the One Group, a branch of Town Square Mortgage. With over 22 years in the mortgage lending industry, Allen and Town Square Mortgage have many loan program options available from conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, jumbo, and many investor and self-employed programs. So if you're looking for the best in the business, give Allen a call at 214-681-0234.
For more information about our sponsors and their services, or if you would like information on how you and your business can partner with or sponsor this show, or others like it, just check the show description or comments for the relevant links and contact information. And now back to the show.
Back here with Roy Cook, No Sweat Experts. Thanks so much for jumping on with us, Roy. One of the things that I want to kind of touch on is just what are some signs that, if somebody obviously didn't know of you, now we want them to obviously contact and work with you, but let's say they made the mistake of going with a big name company or somebody else. What are some signs that they can, or some things that they might hear that kind of let them know I may be getting taken advantage of here? I need to just put a halt to this and have you come out and take a look.
Typically anything over $300 to $500. If your AC is not working, anything over $300 to $500, get a second opinion on. If they come across like a used car salesman trying to pressure you into making a decision on the spot, get rid of them. They're trying to get you to make a decision before you can ask anybody else about it. Take a look at what's going on, and when you give us a call, explain the situation. There's been several times I've walked people through a quick fix on the phone instead of having to send somebody out there.
That's really cool. So what would you say are some of the most common, like you've serviced thousands of units over your time frame or your career. What are top 2 or 3 things that go wrong that lead to, the unit shutting off or it's not blowing cold air? Those are always, usually, but what are the top 2 or 3 reasons behind that?
Most common is a capacitor, sometimes a contactor, and a lot of times people have a float switch. So when your drain line gets stopped up, it automatically shuts the system off so it doesn't back water up and start dripping in your attic. If you ever see your water line dripping outside, that means your main drain is clogged. It's a good idea to get that cleaned out before anything leaks where it shouldn't. And then if your system is older, 12 plus years, that's quite often where you start to see the bigger problems, like a bad compressor, leak in the coil, things like that. But, I changed my dad's air conditioner last year, and it was over 40 years old. So sometimes they last forever. And just because it's older doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a lot of money. A lot of times we can get you another year or 2 out of them before you have to make that decision.
So it's really more like if you're doing the maintenance properly, and of course, if you haven't, what you recommend, like a tune-up every year, basically, just to check and make sure. I know a big thing is a lot of times those coils on the outside unit will get dirty and crap in there, and that affects how well they work. And that's just going to happen because they're outside, I guess. But
hose those off a couple times a year. There's lots of videos on YouTube how to do that yourself. It's pretty easy. We offer a maintenance plan where we come out 4 times a year We change your filters. We provide standard size filters for that, so you never have to worry about your filter changes ever. And then 2 of those visits, we take all of the electrical readings, we clean the system if it's dirty, and put together a nice report with pictures in it that shows everything we found, and whether it's operating as it should, any areas of concern, or anything that's not working. We put that in the report and give that to you.
It's amazing. I've been reading a book that a friend of ours who was on the show, what was a couple months ago, Steve Lester recommended, The Go Giver, and it's just about when you give to give, you start realizing how much you kind of posture yourself to be in a receiving position. And it's funny how, and that's a very simplification. There's a whole lot more to it than that, but it's interesting how when businesses take the time to go above and beyond and realize that it's not so much the product that they're selling, it's themselves, it's the experience, it's the relationship that makes all the difference in the world. And I'm sure you found basically the same thing now that you took the time to say, this industry needs a little bit of an overhaul, and I'm going to make a big difference in that. Is that pretty much the case?
Yeah, I mean, that's my goal is to grow this business through referrals, and not anytime I get a customer, I want them to be a customer forever. I don't want them shopping around. I want their experience with us to be as good as can be, and have them like and trust us and be the only company they ever want to deal with.
Well, the last thing I want to talk to you about, and I don't want my AC unit to go out, but I want it to go out so you can come out and visit. Maybe wait till the fall when it's not 1,000 degrees. But you and I met through Master Networks, and just take a moment, because I believe you're in like 5 different chapters. Is that correct?
7.
Oh gosh, that's got to be a record. It's got to be like a Master Networks record. So. And I know it's not necessarily you going to every one of those, but you probably have visited each one of them at some point. But just talk about like the value, because one of the things that I'm a president of a chapter. Our next guest, Jersey Goldman, president of chapter that meets at, both of us meet at Walk-Ons in the colony just west of Plano, and in the trade area, there's a lot of people, especially in HVAC, that they I don't have time for that, I'm busy. Or just so busy, blah, blah, blah. What have you found, or first of all, what attracted you to Master Networks to realize that, hey, this is something that's going to help my business? But then what have you found with your experience? Like, obviously you're getting a lot of return because you keep getting in more chapters. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. When I started the business 3 years ago, I was struggling to get a little traction, and saw a post on Facebook saying, hey, we've got a networking meeting. We're looking for guys that do, and gave a list of things. One of them was HVAC. And I went to that, started getting to know the people there, joined that one chapter. And, I've quickly realized that in this business, you can look at 1,000 different ads on Google. Nothing makes any business stand out over any of the others. But when I go to these networking meetings and I get to know the people there, they know what I'm about. They know how I run the business. Whenever they have friends, each of them has, 200, 300, 400 friends that say, hey, does anybody know an HVAC guy? And they're able to say, yes, I know this guy. He's trustworthy. He's going to treat you right. That's in the bag. I get that customer. And for the investment of time and getting to know people, the return on it is phenomenal. And I don't do any other marketing now. I probably spend less than $500 a month on marketing for other sources just to keep my social media relevant. A few things on Google just to let them know I'm still around. But the focus of my marketing is building relationships with people.
What have you found from a business standpoint, like that has helped you scale or just be able to expand in terms of a business owner running a business, the conversations you've had, we do a lot of training every week at the chapters, and that's obviously an infinite number of resources available. But how has that helped you be a better business owner, manager, leader? How you hire, how hopefully you don't have to fire a lot of people, but even how you have to do those type of things. How has that helped you in that regard?
With background in consulting and just kind of the business background I had, I know a lot of the things that the trainings are providing, but the way they break them down and simplify them, I've got in the back of my mind, I should be doing this. I need to do this. And the trainings are great because it's like, hey, here's, a refresher. It reminds me to get on top of that. And they always break it down in a way that makes it something I can accomplish. I know I need to set goals. But they've got some of the trainings on I think they call it the 1-3-5. It helps you lay out how to get to those goals. And just kind of the refresher on that and the laying it out on actually how to do it myself rather than, back in the consulting world where we were telling the other people to do similar things. Just the reminder that says, hey, I need to back off a little bit and lay the foundation to be able to move forward the way I want to move forward.
Yeah. And I think that's really one of the keys. And so, my encouragement, of course, to anybody listening, if you're in the trade field, whether HVAC, electrician, roofer, pest control. I mean, I'm what am I missing, Roy? There's like 1,000 different trades, painter. I mean, all kinds of stuff. You kind of get into our head and you have a real almost self-employed mentality instead of business owner mentality. And the business owner mentality is like, eventually you have the ability to scale to the point where you've created a business that runs and operates itself. Now you have a passive income business. And I don't know, Roy, I'm assuming that's what you'd like at some point. I mean, you're probably there in some capacity already, but you also have a heart for people, which is obvious. So some people want that passive income business and they want to step away and, just check in on it every once in a while. Other people are passionate about the service that they provide and are always more involved in it. So either way, being around more people that have the same vision that you do, the desire for success, are constantly wanting to learn, and then obviously learning to be able to market yourself for very inexpensively, for much less than people pay for ads each month on Google and Facebook, which is insane, is a really good deal. So encourage you guys to check out Master Networks. Contact myself, Roy, even our next guest is going to be on in just a moment. If you feel like, hey, this might be something good for my business, there are infinite, not just the trade. I mean, there's probably 100 different verticals, categories of businesses at least.
There's more than that. There's, I think, around 250.
250. Oh my gosh. Okay. So if you're working, we can probably find a spot for you, and you'll definitely benefit either way. So we're going to hit a commercial break. Thank you for jumping on. Roy Cook, No Sweat Experts. I think what's a good contact number for you, Roy, just so people can. Is the one I called you at earlier?
That's my cell. I like people to call the office generally. I've got enough to do already, so I've got somebody answering the phones there. That number is 972-292-8831.
Awesome. Well, last thing I want to do is last question before we go to break is, what is it that you guys feel like? And I know you'd mentioned, I think we talked about this, about how you're kind of wanting to give back to the community with what you're doing, and not just the service you provide, but some charity work and things like that. Take just a minute or two to talk about that, if you would.
We're in the process of trying to start up a nonprofit. The goal of it is to, we'll put some money towards it. We'd like our customers to also donate, but to provide air conditioning repairs for those that can't afford them, air conditioning and heating. It's a bad situation when, you're in the middle of winter and your heater won't come on, or, 110-degree day and you've got a baby at home with no air conditioning. It'd be great to be able to keep people out of shelters and churches and the other places where they can go to cool off a little bit, because a lot of times it's a couple $100 repair, but a couple $100 is a lot for some people.
So if somebody wanted to, if one of our Plano listeners or even Collin County beyond wanted to learn more about that or get more involved or donate or just whatever that would look like, how would they contact the office, or is that on your website, or how would they go about that?
We've got a placeholder on the website for it. We don't have the ability to take donations yet, just because we don't have the 501c3 status. We're currently got the application in, just trying to work through all the steps there. But have them give us a call, and we'll work with them. And if they want to donate, or if they just want to pay for someone else that needs the help, we're happy to help facilitate that.
Well, that's a really big deal too, because you always hear, whether it's the snowpocalypse where people are freezing to death, or elderly people that are burning up to death because their AC's out and they can't afford it. So that's a really cool thing, a way to give back and utilize what your passions and abilities and talents are to really give back to the community. And so Plano residents, man, Roy Cook is the no sweat expert, man. Give him a call. Glad that you were on the show today. Appreciate it very much, Roy, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Guys, we're going to hit our middle commercial break, and when we come back, really cool thing that's happening just north of Plano. Want to share with you guys. Stick around. We'll be right back on the Community Difference.
Tired of that north of the border seasoning? Thinking there's got to be more than just salt and pepper to flavor your steak? Your brother-in-law yapping that he's the grill master? Here's your solution. Goodness Steak Seasoning. It's a blend of 9 unique herbs and spices that'll have your mouth saying, goodness. What was once just for steak night for the family is now being enjoyed by thousands of families across the USA. Grab a bottle or two today at Ham's Meat Market off the Square in McKinney, Profound Foods in Fairview, and at bringthetasty.com.
All righty, guys. Welcome back to the Community Difference. Thanks again to Roy Cook. We are going right into our next guest. We met through Master Networks as well, but really cool story. Just want to talk about some things that are going on where I'm going to be on Saturday. So definitely come out and see us there. I want to bring on Jersey Goldman. Jersey, how you doing this afternoon?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm just chilling. Speaking of air conditioning, I should have told Roy when they remodeled our office, they forgot to put an air conditioning vent in my office, which is a problem. So I have like 18 fans on. And now it's just like kind of comfortable. So we're working to remedy that situation. But anyways, that's a big issue. But we'll figure it out. So man, before we talk about kind of why we're having you on and the connection. Talk about yourself a little bit. Where are you from? Just a little bit of background about you. You're an interesting fellow. I was talking to you before. Your title, Director of Fun at Ashley Chiropractic, is pretty cool. We'll get into that in just a moment, but just give everybody, our listeners, a little background about you and how you ended up in the North Texas area.
Yeah, I moved out here. This was not the plan to come to Dallas from South Jersey. Went Jersey to New York, back to Jersey all before 18, and then went to Vegas, UNLV out in Las Vegas there. Had a full ride to be the mascot there. I've been 67 different mascots or characters of some sort in the last 17 years. And then just through the grapevine of networking, I shouted out, of all places, Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers in 2007 in an ESPN article. And 10 years later, the former COO of Raising Cane's opened a place called Lava Cantina in the Colony, and called up the owner of the Raising Cane's in Vegas, asked for a Vegas guy in entertainment and marketing. And 10 years after that random shout out, I end up in the Colony in 2018. What neither of those guys knew is that my mother moved out to the Colony, Texas in 2010. And so talk about ending up in the place you're supposed to be, right? Mm-hmm. So been the president of a Master Networks chapter for about a year and a half now, which is, yes, where we met. And I've worked with, I've been a patient of Dr. Ashley's here at Ashley Chiropractic Centers for 3 years. I've worked here for about a year and a half. So that's
awesome. What do you love about the Plano area? Like I asked Roy the same question. Obviously, Lava Cantina, awesome place. What are some, now that you're not necessarily associated there anymore, you don't have to mention them specifically, but what are some other restaurants, venues, things that you like? Just, I mean, it's really, really cool for, really known for a lot of outdoor parks and recs and just walking trails, but also great foodie city. Where are some of your go-tos whenever you have a moment?
My wife's infatuated with sushi. And so
I love sushi.
any
I love it.
and Dr. Ashley would tell you that if you can't see an ocean from where you are, you shouldn't eat seafood. And so there's kind of a contradicting aspect there. I don't necessarily have a heavy respect for or knowledge of barbecue and meats, but we do. One of the people we'll have on Saturdays, Sergeant Sully's smoked meats, and he introduced me to burnt ends.
Yes.
And as
So
far
good.
as I'm concerned, all of the DFW Metroplex gets credit for that one because those were legendary. So, but I'd say food and entertainment. I mean, I'm on a microphone either downtown or over at different music venues across the DFW Metroplex and beyond. So live music's pretty interesting too. So that's a good time.
So as far as Dr. Ashley in the chiropractic centers, we're doing a grand opening. You guys are doing a grand opening on Saturday. Talk more about that in just a moment. But how did you? Obviously, I guess you were a patient first there. Just talk about that experience. I know the chiropractic care is like some people swear by it. I'm one of them. Obviously, you're one of them. Just talk about your journey, your story a little bit, and how you started going there, and then what it did for you, and then how you ended up being the director of fun, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, our paths crossed, Dr. Ashley and I, on, I want to say July 4th or so. There was an event at Lava, actually. We're the official chiropractor for the Texas Legends, and so they held their event there. I could not move my head left, right, up, down at all. And the president and GM of the Texas Legends says, you got to meet the doc. And I told him with colorful language to leave me alone. I'm going to the room and I don't want to talk to anybody. And he said, no, you don't understand. You got to meet the doc. And so the doc comes in and over the next year and a half, he, number one, he fixed me in what felt like 10 seconds the next day at the office. He's over the next year and a half really did try to strengthen the relationship beyond just a patient doctor, to prove that he cared, and me not knowing a complete stranger, that's kind of how it turned into. So, and then towards the end of that year and a half, he ended up reaching out and saying, really love to have somebody that's completely separate from the chiropractic aspect, and your resume definitely carries that. And so I said, no, absolutely not. And then he said, he got my attention by saying, with your resume, you should make $250,000 a year. I said, well, you pay me $250,000, I'll drop what I'm doing to come work for you. He said, well, I could probably only pay you 40. And I said, why are you wasting my time? And then I really thought about it, and I called him up at the end of 2020, and I said, I don't care if you pay me $40 a year. I'm all yours. And that's that.
Well, I love the approach, and you guys are, about to open up a new facility in Prosper. And so our Plano listeners are probably wondering why we're talking about Prosper. Well, one, we always travel into multiple cities as residents of Plano. There's always kind of this north of George Bush community, and you have south of George Bush where you get into Dallas and other areas. But so we're always out and about doing different things. But if you can actually get really good chiropractic care, you'll drive. Like, it's 30 minutes for me. I live in Southeast Plano. But hey, I'm actually going to have my first appointment tomorrow. I'm so excited. But we're talking to you guys today because of the event on Saturday. Is not just a grand opening; it's what the grand opening is for, and the charity that you guys are going to be donating to. So take a moment, Jersey, if you will, and talk about how that came about, a little bit about the event, who's there, but more importantly, what the charity is going to be for.
Yeah, so we've been involved in community aspects, charitable organizations. It's kind of our business model to include what's called the Give Back movement. And for the most part, the last year and a half since I came on board, that charitable foundation has been the Epilepsy Foundation of Texas, which is partially, well, I say partially, mostly due to the fact that I have epilepsy. And when I came on board, the doc wanted to change it to be closer to our hearts, and it definitely did so. We have the location in Louisville, right in the center of Castle Hills, but we wanted to expand out. And our business model plans on having 80 in the next 12 years, all in the DFW area, probably north. This one in Prosper was a project that we've been working on for about a year now. We really think that Prosper's now not being included in that far up north that you're hearing more Gunner. And Salina, I think, is even creeping into that, almost that circle of not too far kind of thing.
Yeah.
About 14 minutes from the Star because you're cruising straight down the tollway, and then we're just north of 380 off of Preston. And even if you come down Preston, it's not too far. But
it's only 30 minutes for me, so I mapped it out the other day. And that I'm in Southeast Plano, so that's
24. So
yeah.
You and I could do a ride along. And I'll show you how Jersey people drive when they got to get back. But no, our location here is definitely something that we're excited about. It's 2,200 square feet of wellness care, sometimes referred to as maintenance. And what I mean by that is getting people well, not short term, but keeping them that way. It is a focus of ours from the second anybody walks in the door, and we see from 1 day old babies and pregnant mothers, to 106 years old is the oldest that we've seen.
Wow.
Dr. Ashley's been practicing for 18 years now as of June. Married to his wife, who also practiced for 18 years. And so he's the 11th of 14 chiropractors. He's been adjusted since he was 2 weeks old. He pretty much knows what he's doing. And that's had a significant impact on me. So sharing that with the world is what the ultimate goal has been. Now, the idea of a grand opening that we have on Saturday was from that Master Networks group, which in their commitment to culture says to go beyond the business. And I thought, why not have a ribbon cutting of Master Networks? Why not have a custom ribbon that has our logo on it, our Ashley logo? So I got that. And it's turned into something beyond the business, right? I mean, Nate, you could probably agree. It's a caring way to go above and beyond. We plan on showcasing some businesses, some bounce houses, the Texas legends. Rowdy from the Dallas Cowboys will be here, some other characters, and so on and so forth. But 10 to 2 on Saturday, it's going to be a very memorable moment for us as a team, as a family, and potentially the start of some very memorable visits for some people, I think, for sure. Yeah.
So if you're, if a Plano resident, you're listening to this, or you're just, right outside of Plano, or obviously Prosper, wherever, again, like you mentioned, Jersey, not far to travel. You go there, you check out the business, great networking opportunity. But let's say you want to do that original assessment. That assessment is what's going back to charity, correct?
Yeah, so part of our give back movement is to donate that initial $49 first appointment fee, but it's not just the first appointment. That is billed normally to insurance. It's about a $200 value. The exam, the consultation, and the report of all the findings from the evaluation. Musculoskeletal, non-invasive examination of your spine, and where there's initial misalignment or nerve interference. And it's a very valuable integral test that shows so much of the body's functions. With mine in particular, my cervical, the upper third of the back is what impacts your brain. Go figure, somebody with epilepsy their whole life had most of the interference there. But $49 donated back in full to the charitable organization that we partner with, which, for the sake of full disclosure, we do adjust that, no pun intended, to fit any events, organizations, charitable atmospheres that we're a part of. And so if it's go back to schools, PTAs, whatever, the important part is getting people well and keeping them well. And so we're excited to do that for our patients. It's fun.
Well, man, I can't wait to, first of all, I can't wait to figure out what's wrong with me tomorrow, because there's a lot, mainly a few mental, but it's mainly physical. So I'm excited. I didn't know the extent by which the initial assessment was. So I'm really, I'll have to report back to our listeners. I'll just be the guinea pig, I guess, and see how it goes. But looking forward to being out there with you guys on Saturday, having a table out there, just getting to know people and seeing a really cool, business, obviously, that we all need. How we feel. I actually met with Diego this great guy. How we feel impacts so much of our lives, right? It really like determines how successful we are in our business, how our families interact, because if you feel like crap all the time, you're usually more moody and more difficult to get along with. And of course, I try not to do that, but just taking care of yourself and wellness is really a quintessential part of making sure that you're everything you can be. And we talk about that on our shows all the time. It's just figuring out a way to be involved and be everything you can in your communities. And so I like what you guys are doing as a business to give back to your community, but also just the way you approach healthcare and self-care, I think is a very unique approach and the way you guys do that. So Jersey, I appreciate you jumping on. Looking forward to Saturday. Will I see you tomorrow? Will you be at the office tomorrow? I think I'm supposed to be at 4:30. I don't know.
Sure, we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Guys, we're going to do the last commercial break. When we get back, we'll catch up with Shelby Williams, councilman for Plano, see what's going on in our great city, and then we'll wrap up the show.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses.
Real property management focus. An unmatched level of service to property owners, investors, and tenants throughout the DFW Metroplex.
Katie Owen, the insurance gal, helps overwhelmed Medicare-eligible people successfully navigate the enrollment process. When turning 65, retiring, and signing up for Medicare for the first time, it can be confusing. So it's important to get guidance from someone you can trust. Katie helps her clients navigate the enrollment process in a way that eliminates the feeling of being overwhelmed and unsure and leaves her clients feeling relieved and confident. If you have questions about the Medicare process and want advice from someone you can trust, reach out to Katie at 972-943-3943 or at her website, www.insgal.com.
When you need a trusted roofing company on your side to help you out with storm damage repair for your roof, call Cook DFW Roofing. Serving Anna, Melissa, Princeton, Prosper, Van Alstyne, and all of the DFW area.
Red Branch Realty and owner realtor Ashley Gentry are true champions at every level. As a top producer, Ashley Gentry and Red Branch Realty truly embody their mission of being your supporter and partner in your personal real estate journey. So if finding the best representation possible in achieving the American dream of homeownership is important to you, give Ashley a call at 972-342-1869.
For more information about our sponsors and their services, or if you would like information on how you and your business can partner with or sponsor this show, or others like it, just check the show description or comments for the relevant links and contact information. And now back to the show.
Hey guys, welcome back to Community Difference. Thank you again to Jersey and to Roy. We're going to wrap up the show here. Our good friend Shelby Williams, councilman for the great city of Plano. Shelby, how are you today, sir? How's your day going so far? I think you're on mute. I think you're muted.
My bad. Shelby Talks, take two. I'm doing well, Nathan. Thank you very much for having me back on.
Awesome. How's the family been?
Doing okay. We are gearing up for the school year. Got my middleest daughter's schedule just this morning.
Say that one more time.
We got my middleest daughter's new schedule at a new school just this morning.
I remember schedule day. It was both exciting and terrifying, depending on what you were looking at. So that's very exciting. Well, talk to us about one of the things that you had mentioned, and I want to talk about kind of your guys' philosophy of leadership and some things in just a moment. But you mentioned that you guys are working on the budget for the city, and when most people hear that, it's like the most boring thing ever. They don't. But why is that important? Because it obviously is. Talk about how that actually affects the person listening, the Plano resident. Like, why is it important to know what's going on from a budgetary standpoint? We all have views on the national budget, which affects us even less than the local budget, but we don't really take the time to invest in something that affects us more directly.
That's right. And along with that, this is one of the many reasons why elections matter, particularly local elections. So everybody is painfully familiar with property taxes here in Texas. And this is key. Even if you rent, you are still paying property taxes. In fact, you're paying more property taxes per square foot than somebody who owns, because if you rent, you are afforded none of the protections under state law that homeowners get. You just don't realize you're paying property taxes because it's all baked into your rent. The property owner has to cut that check every year. So with property taxes, most homeowners end up taxed about 2% of your property value every year. That's what the current property tax level in Texas is. The city's portion makes up 19% of that bill. Obviously, the school district takes the most for obvious reasons. That ends up being anywhere between about 2/3 and 3/4, depending on where you live. But here in Plano, the city of Plano tax makes up 19% of your total tax bill, the highest portion going to Plano ISD, depending on your school district. And then about 8.5%, 9% going to Collin County, the county of Collin, I should say, and the remainder going to the Collin College District, assuming you live in the Collin portion of the Collin County portion of Plano. However, in the 5 years before I was elected in 2019, the taxes, the actual tax burden on Plano homeowners had gone up 40% in that 5 years.
Jeez.
And that's partly because of our archaic property tax system. And part of the reason, and the second component, is because they could. When people don't understand the tax system, then they're asleep at the switch, or it's just too confusing, and it truly is. Elected officials across Texas play what I call the game of property tax 3-card Monte, follow the queen, where they're all pointing in different directions saying it's not our responsibility. And I do a seminar on that every year, Property Tax 101 in around May. But so elections matter. Every year to date, since I was elected, we have kept property taxes flat. So instead of increasing them, we've actually kept them flat for existing property owners. Now, as I say, that's your mileage may vary. It's an aggregate calculation across all properties in the city. So here we come to 2022 with 40-year inflation. We've not seen inflation like this since 1981. So call it 41-year inflation. But I very much wanted to see, it's now called the no new revenue rate. If you just keep taxes flat, property taxes on existing property owners flat, that's now called the no new revenue rate. I'd wanted to achieve that again for what would be the 4th year in a row. However, under the current inflationary environment, it's going to be really difficult because cost of city services is going up. Things like energy and food are going out of control, but so are construction costs, which energy is baked into. So there are a lot of things that the city does where we're experiencing even greater inflation than what's measured in the consumer price index and general inflation. But at the same time, I don't want to, so I understand the need to increase our revenue to keep providing great city services, but I don't want to hit our people with a property tax increase at the same time that they are also being punished with inflation. So we had our budget reveal last week. The proposed budget for the 2022-23 fiscal year, it is not at the no new revenue rate yet. It is about maybe a 2%, just under 2%, 1.85, I think, real property tax increase for the city's portion. And which is fairly low, but it's still, given the inflationary environment, higher than I would like. And I will say that keeping taxes flat year after year is unsustainable in perpetuity. The county of Collin has managed it for, I think this will be the 8th year running, because they keep growing. So when you add new property that's taxed on the tax rolls, then you've got your additional source of revenue. Plano is mostly built out and has been for a few years now. We're not going to see that kind of growth. And so that leaves nothing but to keep pace with inflation. So
right. Eventually, inflation is going to catch up, is what you're saying.
Exactly. So we need to at least keep pace with inflation. We can continue to drive greater efficiencies year over year, but there's a point of diminishing return. So I'm not a champion of the no new revenue rate just for the sake of the no new revenue rate, because governments have to contend with inflation as well. But I would like to see what we can do this year. The budget will be finalized in a little more than a month at the first council meeting in September. The new fiscal year starts October 1st. I will say that I'm very encouraged by this council. Not only have we managed to pass the no new revenue rate 3 years in a row, but we have a very responsible budget proposed for this upcoming fiscal year. I would like to see if we can get lower for the sake of our people, but it is very responsible, and it is a far cry from the 40% in 5 years that we saw prior to 2019.
Well, let me ask you this, because that's a lot of really good information, because you start to see the impact and the importance of having those conversations. How much citizen feedback or just response do you get at these city council meetings specifically about budgetary items? Because usually it's more things about that affects people more immediately, it seems like, although that does once it's in effect. But I guess my larger question is, and we only got about a couple minutes left here, but if somebody wanted to make their voice heard in any of these budgetary items, and also really see what the items are, like, and then once it's completed as well, how would they go about that? And then where would they actually find here's the completed budget, here's what we're sticking to? Because sometimes people don't know what, you hear about the national budget. Well, there's 50,000 different line items, but there's a lot of line items in the city budget too. So what do they even need to be concerned about? I guess where they find that information.
Overall spending is one. We do have a very transparent Plano budget portal. Just Google Plano budget portal, and you can look. It's about almost a 2,000 line item budget. But to answer your question about, and we do have a few opportunities. The first was last Wednesday when we had the proposed budget reveal. We will have 2 more council meetings where we discuss this, and a town hall. So you can see all of that in the council agendas. Now, almost nobody comes to actually speak on the budget, to answer your question. And it's funny because almost everybody, or at least a ton of people in the Collin County, it's anticipated that maybe 80,000 people were going to protest their property valuation this year. The biggest difference, and by all means do that, but the biggest difference that's going to be made to your property taxes is in the city councils, the school boards, the county commissioner court, and the college district board of trustees. Almost nobody actually comes to those to say, tax and spend responsibly, keep our taxes low. If 80,000 people showed up to a council meeting, I guarantee you we would take notice and pay attention.
Yeah, I've always been, and not to get on a high horse about protesting, but I'm sure there's something that I would protest for at some point. But there's always seems to be more traction-oriented ways that government has set itself up in our country, which is a great thing, that allows your voice to be heard in a more reasonable and results-oriented way. And it is funny because you guys have these meetings. I'm actually going to the school board meeting, the Plano school board meeting tonight, because they're talking about school safety and some stuff that we had talked about on earlier shows. And so, well, I'd like to have you back. We could ask you 10 more stuff. There's a cool document on Plano.gov, the strategic vision that you guys have set out. And I'd like to have you back on and just kind of walk through that. I'm not even going to shut up. We'll just kind of leave it as a teaser. And then also, as election season comes up in November, we're going to be voting, obviously, for local elections, state elections, obviously national elections. And just talk to you a little bit about, how can people get involved and volunteer, election security, integrity, which is very important. I know Plano takes that very seriously. So we'd love to have you back on soon and talk about those things as they loom closer. And as always, Shelby, thank you very much. We will have lunch one day. I know we keep saying that, but it's going to happen. I promise you. So God bless you, brother. And thank you again. And for all of our guests, to Jersey Goldman, to Roy Cook, Shelby Williams, Have a blessed week. Thank you so much for being a listener, tuning in, taking a part in your community, making the difference each and every day. All of our friends around Plano and the larger Collin County, have a great week. We'll see you back here next Tuesday.
Thank you for tuning into The Community Difference. If you enjoyed the show, take something you learned and apply it in your community or your business in order to make the difference for someone else. Remember, the smallest change begins with a single action, but a single action can make all the difference. A special thank you to today's amazing guests. Also, if you'd like to be on the show to share your unique story and how it made the difference in your community, please contact Lendon Wilson at lendonw@thedifferenceradio.com. Until next time, this has been The Community Difference in Plano, Texas, hosted by Nathan Smith.